Okay, assignment 15, we're working in chapter 2-5, which is graphs of expense and revenue functions. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples how to work through the assignments for this lesson. A particular item in the Picasso Paints product line costs $7 each to manufacture. The fixed costs are $28,000. So what this is giving you is how much it costs to produce this item. This is per item, and then the fixed cost. We talked about that before. The expenses, the expense function would be $7 times the number of items plus $28,000 in fixed costs. So that expense function we're going to need. The demand function, the demand for these products can be represented by the quantity of products is equal to negative 500 times the price of the product plus 30,000, where Q is the quantity the public will buy given that price. Okay. We're not going to be doing any graphing, but we are going to be doing the algebra behind it. The expense function is E equals 7Q plus 28,000, like we talked about. So if the demand function is Q equals negative 500P plus 30,000, to get the expenses in terms of price, then I can simply take this Q and replace it with what I know Q is equal to. So that's what we're doing right here. $7 times Q, but instead of using Q, I'm using what Q is equal to. And I'm substituting that in. And then I just need to simplify, and then I'll have my expenses in terms of price. So we're distributing here to get negative 3,500P, distribute here to get 210,000, bring the 28,000 down, and then you can add these two constants together to get negative 3,500P plus $238,000. That's for that item in the Picasso paint store. Okay, so let's look at an example and work through one together. An electronics company manufactures earphones for portable music devices. Each earphone costs $5 to manufacture. That's per earphone. And the fixed costs are $20,000. So my expense function is going to be $5 times the number of items plus this fixed cost of $20,000. Here's the demand function for this particular problem. Q, the number of devices that people are willing to buy at a certain price. Q is equal to negative 200P plus 40,000. Write the expense function in terms of Q and determine a suitable viewing window for that. We're not going to do the graphing part. But Q is equal to this. So I can take my equation and replace Q with negative 200P plus 40,000. So my expenses are that should be 5. My expense function is 5 times Q, which is negative 200Q plus 40,000 plus the 20,000. And all I have to do now is just simplify this, and that will give me the demand function or the expense function in terms of Q. That's a P, sorry. So E is equal to 5 times negative 200P, which would be negative 1,000P, plus 5 times 40,000 would be 200,000, then plus the 20,000. These two numbers I can add together. So I get negative 1,000P plus $220,000, which is my expense function written in terms of the price. Okay. What is the revenue equation for Picasso Paints product? Write the revenue equation in terms of the price. Revenue, we've talked about expenses, we've talked about quantity of products, we've talked about price, but revenue is the product of the price and the quantity. How much money you have coming in depends on how much you sell it for and how many you sell. Or another way to write it algebraically is the revenue is equal to the price times the number that you sell. Q is the quantity. It's expressed in terms of the price, so the expression can be substituted into the revenue equation. So the revenue equation for Picasso products. First, the revenue equation is R equals P times Q. Well, in Picasso paints product, the Q function, back in this previous example, was right here, negative 500p plus 30,000. That's defined to be the quantity. So I'm taking out the Q and I'm putting that back in there. The revenue is equal to P times negative 500p plus 30,000, and now we're going to simplify this. So I'm going to distribute that. So P times negative 500p is negative 500p to the second. P times 30,000 would be 30,000p. So the revenue function, it's quadratic. See the exponent? So it's going to be one of those parabolas. So taking you back to Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, remember if it has an exponent of 2, it's quadratic. So the graph would either be like that or like that. Okay? But this is what we're after, the revenue function, negative 500p squared plus $30,000. So determine the revenue if the price, that's P, per item is set at $25. Well, here's your revenue function, because that's what we're trying to find. If the price is 25, then I think all I have to do is replace these P's with 25 and see what I get out. So the revenue is equal to negative 500 times 25 to the second power, negative 500 times 25 to the second power, plus 30,000 times 25. And just simplify this and we'll have it. I got to do my exponents first. So 25 squared is 625. Now I can do this multiplication and this multiplication. Negative 500 times 625 is negative 312,500 plus, and 30,000 times 25 is 750,000. When you add these together, if we sold these items at $25 a piece, I'm about to find out how much money I would make. If you add those together, you get $437,500. So that would be the revenue based on that price. All right. That is it for lesson 15.